Hi, this is Gotti Elcon with Selig Film News. We're here with the team behind Jasmine. We've got the filmmakers Dax Phelan and Jason Tobin, as well as producer manager extraordinaire Stratton Leopold, and one of the great stars, Byron Mann. Dax, Jason, where did you guys come up with this creepy noir story? Do you guys like haunting yourselves or chasing after random people? I mean, where did this come from?
I suppose the very beginning of the story, it started back in 2005, so about 10 years ago, and I met Jason through Byron Mann when I was in Hong Kong working on another project, and Jason hadn't played the lead in a film before, but I had seen him in other things and thought he was fantastic. So when he was in LA shooting Fast and the Furious, I asked him if he could come to lunch with me, and I told him, look, I have an idea for a character, and I want to come up with a story together. You'll play the lead, I'll direct, and we're going to shoot it on the streets of Hong Kong. And he said okay, and it all sort of began from there.
What was it about his pitch that you just were like, I can jump on board this?
I think what it was is that when we met, we talked a lot about movies, and we just talked about not even necessarily about this particular project, but we were sort of feeling each other out. I mean, we talked about movies, and we found out that we had a lot of the same taste in films, and I think that's where it sort of started. You know, as a collaboration, you want to feel out each other's taste and sensibility. Byron actually made a great point last night in the at the Q&A after the premiere, that a lot of times, a good director is about having good taste, and I think Byron, you said something like, if you got bad taste, then you're screwed, and if a director's got great taste, then you're in good hands, And so that very much was the case with Dax, that we loved a lot of the same movies, and I think we became friends very quickly, and it all started from there. It was very organic. It was a great start to a actor-director relationship.
And then after a couple of years, we had the script written, and no one was paying us to do it, so we had to work on it in between other projects. And then it finally got to the point where we wanted to get it made, and so we'd never produced a movie before, at least not a feature, and so I decided to approach Stratton to see if he could sort of guide us through the process. And fortunately for us, he came aboard to produce, and that's when things really started to take off.
Well, I'm curious, looking at maybe even stepping back to Byron's involvement. Did you always, since you introduced him, did you always have the thought that maybe you might be a part of this project, or were you kind of later into the game deciding, okay, I can be the man in the movie?
Oh, it wasn't me deciding, it was them deciding. I look at this whole project as really, even from when we were filming, it was like a Cinderella project, in the sense that, there's no reason Dax would be in Hong Kong. He's from the United States. Then, for some reason, 2005, it was the first time he came to Hong Kong, and I didn't think he would like it, but he loved Hong Kong, and so much so that he came back like a couple more times and wrote a movie that's set in Hong Kong. And then when I found out he wrote a script, the story, and it's set in Hong Kong, and he's going to shoot it. He actually got the financing to shoot it. I was like, for me, it was like, yes, it's an honor to be a part of that project, and to see it, 5 years later, being selected to be part of, Dallas International Film Festival, Hong Kong International Film Festival. It's a Cinderella story.
Definitely.
It's a Cinderella story.
Let's talk about the connection to Dallas and SMU and even James even.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much a homecoming. This is special. You went all across the world to film it, but you're bringing it back home.
Yeah, absolutely. I came to SMU in 1994 to study pre-med, of all things. And, after my first semester, I think I had 3 Fs, a B, and I passed gym, and I just spent a lot of time that first semester staring at walls. and it was actually my advisor at SMU who talked to me at the beginning of the spring semester, and she said, "Are you sure you want to be a doctor?" You know, and I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, every time you come into my office, we talk about movies." And I didn't even know this about myself. It took someone outside, you know, to sort of notice this. So she suggested that I take some film courses, and I started to take some film courses, introduction to production, screenwriting, etc. And for the first time in my life, school didn't feel like school anymore, which was a pretty wonderful feeling. And so the film bug just took over, and I wound up going to graduate school then in Los Angeles at the American Film Institute, and started interning at a company called Mace Neufeld Productions at Paramount. And that's how I met Stratton when I was an intern there. So.
Stratton, what is it that made you jump on board a crazy intern from Texas that wants to go shoot in Hong Kong and do all these weird projects? What was it about Dax that made you think, this is a kid I can follow?
Talent, basically it. When you realize that someone has the talent to write, the talent to direct, and is also a nice person, you want to jump on board then and help. And it's been, well, we initially started collaborating on another picture, which we'll talk about later, that will be our next picture. But it's just abject talent, and to assemble equally a talented cast, the synergy is wonderful. I mean, you see it coming. It's a passion. It's a passion project. You can see it completely there. It's on the screen. I think of other pictures where I've done over Paramount where maybe it's a little bit less than passionate. But this, it's all over the screen.
Stratton brings up a great point. This is a tremendous cast, not just Jason and Byron, but the women in this are phenomenal.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Don't put me on the spot, Byron. Well, what do y'all think about working off them? You know, this must have been so much fun.
Yeah.
I'll throw that to Byron, Jason.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, why don't I lead into it,
Yeah,
actually. You know, Jason was the first cast member on board, and you know, Jason's very highly regarded among his fellow actors. So because he was the first person on board, there were a lot of people who wanted to work with him and were willing to do so for less than their usual fee, which was, you know, really lucky for us. And the first person we approached was Eugenia Yuan, who is a Hong Kong Academy Award winner, obviously, and we wanted her for the role of Grace. She was the only person we ever really had in mind, and she wanted to work with Jason, so she came aboard, and that was really the first of several casting coups that, you know, ultimately led to us getting Byron Mann. And so when it came to Sarah Leon, that was a role we've been trying to cast for a long time. We had met with a lot of people, but no one seemed to have that X factor that we were looking for. And Sarah actually came to an open casting call and read with Jason and absolutely blew us away and just walked out of there as if the part had been hers all along, which was really unbelievable. That's the best audition I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But then they got to act with her, not me.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, when you look at a film, at the finished product, you begin to look at it objectively. And every time, I've seen this film like 3 times now, and the first thing that actually comes to my mind as an objective viewer is, well, this is actually well cast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a well cast movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of anyone who would be, play that role that Jason's playing. You know, and Sarah Lynn's role and Eugenia's role is like, well, this is a well cast movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to answer your question, I actually only had one scene with Jason where we really like go at it, you know. And I remember how easy it is, you know, to act with Jason because, you know, I've been acting for 20 years, and if you have a really good actor acting with you, you actually don't have to act that much. That's the secret. It's like dancing, you know, and it's all chemistry. And, you know, the better the other actor is, and the less you have to work. So it was like dancing. It was really effortless.
I have to echo the same feelings. Yeah, I mean, in Jasmine, I spent a lot of time on my own. Acting with myself, being with myself, and I remember after a few weeks of just shooting basically by myself, Eugenia showed up for her scenes, and it was such a I was so relieved. I kept saying, "Thank God you're here. Thank you. I'm so happy to be acting with you." It's like being on a desert island for like months, and then finally see a human being. And like Byron just said,
And quite a human being, too.
yeah, quite. Yeah, exactly. And she's such a fantastic actress and so beautiful. It really was effortless to act with her. She's one of these actresses, an actor that gives so much with just a look.
It's true.
And you really don't have to act with her because you feel like you're experiencing the moment with her. And then of course working with Byron, we had actually worked together on a film previously. It's a really bad film. I won't mention the name. But it's one of those things where you work on a bad film, but then you make great connections, and so that we worked together. And then so when Byron showed up, it was obviously a great experience. Same thing. It's so easy to act with someone who knows what they're doing, and also there's also this thing about Byron where he's so well cast in the role. Like it's easy for me to want to be him. I don't have to act that part. And then Eugenia and Sarah, it's so easy for me to want to be with them. So a lot of it is, as much as there is acting involved, there was a natural. Their archetypes, who they are as people, really helped with my performance.
I will add one little thing. There's this one climactic scene in the movie where, Jason's character confronts my character, and I'm looking at the movie and I remember, because we shot this a while ago, and I'm going, man, I actually did look kind of scared in that movie, in that scene, and I remembered why now, because when we were filming, Jason, when he came into the scene, I mean, literally, he came through the door, right? Literally, and then I actually didn't know what he was going to do because our dialogue was kind of just loose. It wasn't really completely scripted, right? I mean, it was scripted, but we went kind of improvised a little bit. So, but every take he came in, he did something new and unexpected. So and I knew he had a knife.
Most important part, yeah.
Yeah. So, I was genuinely a little scared because I didn't know what he was going to do.
You were scared? Ryu was scared of...
Yes, because, like that line, there's a line, I don't know if I can say that, but there's a line in the movie where he says, do you like knives? I think that was unscripted, so that completely caught me off guard. So I think there was one or two, lines in the movie where you see my character asking him, like, what did you say?
Yeah, well, there were a few times in the movie where we incorporated improvisation. Not because I don't have good actors and they were locked into line readings or anything like that, but just because I wanted it to be that much more in the moment. And if Byron doesn't know exactly what Jason's going to say, along with other actors in the film, there's a real sense of they're listening because they have no idea what's coming, and so I think we get some wonderful reaction shots off of Byron, because of that, and at a scene when it's the most important to get those reactions. So, but speaking of the climax, I'd just like to add also that obviously there's a physical struggle that occurs in the climax of the film, and we were so lucky to have Byron because of his extensive experience in various action movies. He was basically our unofficial stunt coordinator, and he was able to show us how to pull off a fight scene in a way that, first of all, was safe for everyone involved, but also would look great on film, without compromising really. And it's really, when you would see the number of people behind the scenes, you'd be shocked by how few people are actually there. It's Byron and Jason. I'm standing, 2 feet off to the side, the cameraman's there. You know, that's it. So it worked out great, and I don't think we would have had that if we'd hired anybody else. You know, truly. Yeah.
Actually, I did some flips and somersaults in that scene, but it's all cut out.
Yeah, I think he Hadouken, right, as well.
The very end.
The very end.
It is such a pivotal scene, and it looks amazing. Y'all did an amazing job with that, so thank you for filming that
Yeah.
and being a part of it. Kind of a final question. Not a lot of films bring the full cast, bring everyone. It shows something when Byron, Jason, Stratton, you guys are here for Dax for the film. What does that mean for your future? Obviously, you guys are much more than just this another film. You guys possibly could be working in future projects, and I'd love to know what's the next step for you guys, and what's it like being here together?
It feels like it's really great to have everybody back together again, because it's rare that we're all in the same country, much less the same city.
Yeah.
So to have everybody first at Hong Kong and then at Dallas as well, it just feels like a gift, really. I feel like we're getting away with something, and and I'm just so happy. It's a shame that Eugenia couldn't be here, but she's shooting.
It's definitely a
But,
shame.
Yeah.
She's not.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, certainly to have Stratton here, and you know, someone who was there at the beginning of my career, and hopefully will be there for a long time to come. You know, it's exciting, and it's heartwarming.
You know, I think, Dax, we can also say that the next picture will incorporate the same cast much. I mean, it's going to be the same deal, different movie, obviously. But it's one that when I initially met Dax, we talked about that picture, which is called Charlie Two Shoes. And it's a picture of abject loyalty and friendship, a true story. And that'll be the next one.
That's interesting, because I feel that abject loyalty and friendship. That's how I feel about this film as well. So, you know, it was awesome to premiere the film in Hong Kong, obviously for obvious reasons. You know, the film was written there, we shot it there. But in many ways, you know, I'd never been to Texas, never been to Dallas, and coming here and being here and knowing this is where Dax's film career started, you know, at SMU, and so in many ways I feel very, very happy to be here to sort of support Dax and acknowledge, like, hey, you know, it's like almost going back to see where a great artist started, and to know that this is where Dax got his start. I mean, we're thrilled to be in Dallas. And you know, the fact that we may be working on Charlie Two Shoes again, I've never been in an interview where I've done a job. So thank you guys.
Well, glad that's happened. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and thank you guys for being here. You guys brought a lot of people, so it's always a pleasure to have a film that people are passionate about and want to showcase. Jasmine's a wonderful film, and thank you for sharing Charlie Two Shoes. We can't wait.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe we'll be back with that film next.
Yeah.
you heard it here first.
Cool.
Thank you guys so
Definitely
much.
so.
Okay, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.